I recently watched Bottle Rocket to give myself a little refresher, a little reminder on the film, and it was Wes Anderson's first, and you can tell because he hasn't quite figured out what his specific style is yet. He's trying new things though with the bird's eye view. For example, Dignan's 75-year plan, and Bob taking his car keys, super close up, very well framed for the objects and things within. And he's got a good colour palette going, you know. They were saying that he would go through magazines and basically create collages for what his film would look like. And I think the film does look beautiful. It's very, very well shot. It's more loose, less staged, which I think is sort of close to what he does nowadays with his films. So yeah, it was interesting. For me, Bottle Rocket was unique because I had watched all of Wes's films during COVID, and I was like, now's the time to watch them all. I've got nothing else going on, and I'm so glad I did. It was my favourite time binging all these films, absolutely brilliant. And Bottle Rocket was genuinely the last one I watched, which I know is strange. I probably should have watched that one first, but I'm glad I'd watched it that way because I grew a stronger appreciation for it than I think most people have. To sort of see his humble beginnings, and then an even bigger appreciation watching Bottle Rocket, the short as well he did before doing the feature. And I tell you what, they are incredibly charming. The two films, both the short and the feature. And the feature was only $5 million budget, which is amazing, and you can tell the short was incredibly cheap too. And I find it very inspirational as a fan of film, coming up with mainly for success here, coming up mainly with charismatic characters, simple plot anyone can follow, light-hearted comedy, and just a hint of drama. You know, this is a very, very easy film to watch, which is how it goes with most of Wes's films. The one problem is it does lack his style, and it can feel a little bit generic, but you know, you can tell it is a Wes Anderson film, like I was saying, with just the characters, these fantastic, very complicated characters that are also hard to quite pin down who they are. Dignan, he isn't the protagonist, but it seems like he wants to be the protagonist of the film, played by Owen Wilson. Dignan is hard to pin down because he is a liar. He is a self-conscious person. He's not as confident as he seems. But around his friend Anthony, that's when he gets stronger. You know, it's his best friend, and Anthony is played by Luke Wilson. Has a heart of gold, but there's something under there which is quite sad. There's a line. It's just a throwaway line, where he talks about the time he walked off into the desert, and I think we can get a good idea of what he was talking about there, what his intentions were going into the desert alone like that. So there's a layer of sadness underneath, which I think a lot of Wes's films have, and I like the way he does that. It's very subtle, you know. It's not in your face. It's not patronising or over the top, you know. And I think that's what Bottle Rocket is. It's subtle bits of comedy, subtle, quite actually strong romance with a housekeeper that Anthony's character falls in love with, Inez. And then there's, of course, I can't forget Bob. I actually can't remember the name of the actor. I'll pop it in here as a reminder, but he's not in anything. He genuinely isn't. He's done a few other films with Luke Wilson, but he's a nice addition to the trio of lads. He just wants to be involved, and I think a few of us have been there, where, you know, there's like two really good friends and the third friend is just, you know, like, say there's a pavement, you're walking down the pavement and there's just enough room for two people, and the third person is either like stuck behind or sort of trying to fit on the in the pair, you know, the third wheel basically, and Bob summarizes that perfectly. It's brilliant. I want to talk about the pacing really quickly. First act, fantastic, with the three lads. They steal from a library. It's the safest option, right? If you're not a professional robber, where else are you going to steal from? A bookstore. But then we go into the second act, and the film does suddenly slow down quite a bit, and it goes on for a little too long at this motel, where we're introduced to Inez, the love interest for Anthony, and it's a shame because, like I said, the first act is very fast. It's very funny. It's snappy. It's to the point, and we start to figure out who these two characters are. And I guess it's necessary for us to give Anthony development and independence from Dignan. But then we get into the third act, and things pick up again once we leave the hotel, motel, holiday inn thing. It gets good again, and I think that's important. Like, if your film ends flat, it doesn't leave a good impression. And it's got to start off strong as well to keep you hooked. So, you know what? It's a success at the end of the day. Strong start, flat middle, not bad, it's okay, it's still okay. And then a very strong finish, you know. Using 2000 Man for the last song was just spot on.
Dignan, you know what's gonna happen if you go back there. No, I don't. You'll never catch me, man. Because I'm fucking innocent.
Great little action sequence of chaos, of a heist going wrong.
Stay calm. Stay right where you're... Just...
Alarm, man!
It's the fire alarm!
Who took the fire alarm?
It's because of all this fucking smoke, man!
It's probably where it's the most unique and it's funniest, and I always look forward to that. You know, when you're rewatching a film and you got to get through like the second act, there's always the third act to look forward to, and this does end strong. But yeah, that's Bottle Rocket. I'm gonna turn this off now and start editing this, so